Access granted.
Subject: interview with Brian Flynn from SUPER7. Body: on 8/23/2022, Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80, was tasked with the mission of interviewing the awesome Brian Flynn from SUPER7 about their appearance at SDCC and a brand new wave of G.I. Joe reaction figures. Here's what we could show you from that G14 classified recording.
Access granted.
Hello and welcome to the Full Force Redacted, brought to you by Generals Joe's Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80. On the show today, I have managed to convince, again, the awesome Brian Flynn from SUPER7 to join me for a chat about that wonderful SDCC appearance, including the Cobra Recruitment Centre and all those lovely con exclusives, and a brand new wave of reaction figures. Brian, thank you so much for spending the time to do this with me. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. For all that, those that didn't hear it beforehand, he's not feeling great today. He's a little under the weather. So I'm feeling great. We're worried about how are you feeling?
I was running a fever of about 100 and something yesterday, and it's come down significantly today. But if I sound a little croaky and if I'm sweating profusely and all that kind of good stuff, then just ignore it. This isn't about me anyway. This is about you, Brian.
No, it's about me.
Hopefully not sweating and not feeling rubbish. Anyway, so great to have you back on. It's been I suppose it has been quite a while since we spoke last. And obviously in that time, we've had SDCC, which was absolutely amazing. First off, how was that for you? How was the show? Did you enjoy it?
The show was great. Obviously, I think everybody's been waiting for a while to just get back to a show, see other adults in person, just to be in that environment again. San Diego is not to belabor the point, but San Diego is not like every other convention you've been to. It is a beast upon itself. And so it was great to be back at San Diego. It was a really great year because attendance was lower than normal.
Yeah.
So, anybody that canceled because of COVID concerns or whatever, they didn't reissue those tickets. So it was really pleasant in the fact that you could actually walk around without being wedged in between people. Like you could walk to the bathroom and there wasn't a line.
How dare they?
It was lovely in that regard. So it was great to be back at a convention and then not have it be completely also oppressive with people. Like it was incredibly well attended. Lots of people were there, but it wasn't quite the crush that San Diego can be sometimes.
Yeah.
So it was a super fun way to wade back into, cons.
It's kind of like easing you back into the whole situation, isn't it?
Exactly. We started out in the shallow end and worked our way down. Water wasn't too deep. It was good.
How many cons has it been for you now as a company, SDCs, going to SDCC, I should say?
SDCC, this is 2022, so this is 19 years.
Wow.
But you got two of those didn't happen, but we've been there since 2003.
That's impressive. That is impressive. Yeah. That just makes me feel old, actually, when you say 2003. Why did I even have to ask that question? Exactly. Anyway, Brian, the amount of let's talk about the actual product here, because SUPER7, you shot, obviously you gave everyone a little teaser of what to expect. And you had mentioned to me that something special was coming on our last chat, but I don't think anyone really expected what you actually pulled out of the bag. The Cobra Recruitment Centre, for one thing, was absolutely remarkable. I mean, where do you even start on the planning for something like that? Because I know it's only a contained space and everything, but you've got all that decoration, all of that amazing stuff. Like there was so many one-off pieces in there. Like Jason Edmiston did that beautiful painting as well for you guys. I mean, where do you even start?
Well, we start a year ahead.
Good.
So right now we're already behind for San Diego Comic-Con 2023, and that's not an exaggeration. We start a long time ahead. We usually have one of our self-contained pop-up events at San Diego every year.
Yeah.
And, I think as we discussed last time, we really, really wanted to do something special with G.I. Joe. and really have that moment for G.I. Joe fans to have something to come to and have sort of a big brand moment. And it's not to say that there aren't other things being done elsewhere, but just really having, it's sort of like throwing a birthday party. It's not that, you still love your kids all year round, but we're going to throw you a party, it's going to make you feel special today. So we wanted to have that sort of event for G.I. Joe, and to really talk about, if nothing else, sort of our commitment to G.I. Joe as a franchise, like that, it isn't sort of a passing fancy per se. Like we want to do a lot of really interesting stuff. We want to go places that people haven't gone before with G.I. Joe, and we want to have a lot of fun with this. And obviously San Diego is the easiest place in the regard of the most people are there.
Yeah.
So San Diego as a moment really felt like that was the spot where we really needed to come out and say, okay, hey, everybody, this is our point of view on G.I. Joe. That's where the Cobra Recruitment Center kind of started. We went back and forth quite a lot on what that theme and what that idea could be.
Yeah.
But in the end, we ended up with you're being a recruit. Like we're asking you to join up.
Yeah.
Follow on with what we're trying to do in G.I. Joe. Or is it Cobra? Maybe it's Cobra. Maybe it's not Joe.
So I covered my bases today. I put both
exactly.
logos on.
Except that if you do this to it like that, I think that's we know what side you're really on.
That was an accident. I'll do it properly this time. Sorry.
We already know. It's psychologically, your brain already told us that you're on side Joe.
I'm on the Joes.
Exactly.
I tell you what, though, I couldn't make it to SDCC this year, but when I saw that pop-up center, I was so jealous. And so I felt like I'd really missed out. And all the people that went said they had an amazing time. The fact that you get like a little coin, like a little kind of plastic coin to kind of the token basically to get you in. That was amazing as well.
It's actually a combination of tin and aluminum. It's the same thing made by Osborne Mint, the same people that made the Power of the Force coins in the 80s. So it's the exact same size, exact same people that made those Power of the Force coins.
Is that known? Have you made that known yet? That information?
I don't know. Maybe not.
That's definitely the first time I've heard that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So we've made a couple coins in the past, and they've all been sort of downstream from that same thing. So we go back there and we make them the same. But
that's so cool.
Obviously, I'm not turning anyone away, but the premise was you had to come to the booth and get your ticket to entry. You had to join Cobra, and then we had a great guy there dressed up as a Cobra trooper.
Amazing.
And then people would come up and he'd be like, "Oh, are you ready to join Cobra?" And he would kind of quiz them and then give them the coin. And that's then so that happened during preview night and Thursday. And then after preview night at San Diego was done, that's when the pop-up store opened. So you can, when San Diego's done, keep going. Come on out and hang out with us.
And there's some of the things in that store though were just mind blowing. Like I love the kind of boxes, like the kind of almost like ammo boxes that you'd made with all the different like stamps on it with like little homages and little kind of cute
all the crates,
characters and stuff. Absolutely brilliant. Just all like dotted around the place. Just brilliant. And the kind of love that kind of map that you use for like, I think it was a blind and for like the bed almost of one of the display kind of cases. Again, great little design ideas. Was it just the team behind that, or do you kind of like, who did you get to because obviously Jason did that beautiful piece of artwork, but who was doing all the other kind of interesting graphics stuff?
We the 2D team here got really into it and did a lot of that, and then we have an event sort of 3D space person who did a bunch of it, and they all sort of worked together. But you kind of had everything. When we talked about it is like, okay, if it's a recruitment center, so then we have all the recruitment posters that were outside as you walk up the side of the building, all the join Cobra, your glorious leader, all that kind of stuff. As you come around the front, then you have the neon in the one window and the Cobra recruitment center on the other, with the giant Cobra snake hanging over the entrance and then wrapping the entrance in blue. You walk inside, then yeah, you say it's all the crates and foot lockers and all the travel stuff with all the stencils in it.
So good.
The banners on the back side, yeah, had the maps so you could find where the Pyramid of Darkness was and everything.
Good. So
and
good.
then we took down all the wallpaper and we put up all this new wallpaper that's camo. And the camo is, I actually have some here.
Yeah, brilliant. It's like the blue snake skinny stuff. Look at that. That's brilliant.
So it's sort of a standard camo pattern, but then we replace some of the shapes with cobra snake skin.
Brilliant.
So it's snakes like cobra. And then to make it overt, we throw in some of the logos.
Yeah, that's great. That's the first time I've seen it kind of in one piece like that, I guess, with it not like showing off artwork and stuff. That's really awesome.
Yeah, this is it's a proof from May of 2022, just making sure the colors looked right.
That looks fantastic. That's really cool.
Same thing. It's like we just took some of what would have normally been these shapes and turned them into snake skin.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And then it's a camo that's specific to Cobra.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, great visuals when you walked in. I remember seeing, I think there was a video the first night, I think the preview night, that kind of popped up online, and I was just like, this is insane. And it was the first time I think we'd seen all of the product that you guys, so many special items for SDCC that you created, not just the toys, which, you know, we had the Pyramid of Darkness set, which was outstanding, the Snake Eyes exclusive with the torn sleeve, the glow patrol, which is such a where did that come from, which we'll get to in a second. But then you also had tons of merch as well, special merch. I mean, that was amazing. Like the t-shirts were great. I love the Cobra People 2 t-shirts. That was absolutely brilliant. I mean, was a lot of that specifically for SDCC the whole time, or would you been kind of so this was all stuff that was planned for that event? Yeah,
it was, everything was planned just for San Diego, you know. And then you run a very fine line between, you want to keep it special, but you want everybody to also have a chance to get it. You don't want to make it impossible. I don't want to make it a bummer. Like, I didn't get to go and I got nothing. So it's always this fine line between how much do you make available afterwards versus, you know, kind of thing. Like, you know, my goal is to make it fun and for everybody to enjoy getting it, get excited about the event, but still be able to pick it up off, you know, online afterwards within reason. So
totally,
you know,
I really like because you did a really cool collab as well, didn't you, with Alpha Industries on the Firefly jacket.
The Firefly jacket,
isn't that is just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, big props to you guys on that collab as well, because I've done Alpha Industries I've got a bunch of their jackets hanging up in there, a GI Joe one, a Bumblebee one as well from the Bumblebee movie time period. So absolutely well versed on their products. So that
was one that we surprisingly, we just didn't know how it was going to go, because, you know, they're not inexpensive jackets.
True.
You know, if you want an Alpha Industries jacket, you're getting a really good jacket, but you're also having to pay for that jacket.
True.
And we're like, all right, how many of these guys are gonna cross over? And surprisingly, like, lots of people were super into it. So
I can imagine, yeah,
the jacket did really well. Then we had the Bravo company bag. So then, you know, we did Storm Shadow there. And so, you know, we were doing, you know, black camo, white camo.
Yeah.
You know? So you could have both. And then the t-shirts and some of that different stuff. We had
stickers and socks and pin badges, I want to say, as well.
There were pins. You know, then there was like the paper, the leaflets, like, so you want to join Cobra, 3-fold brochures and stuff like that.
Incredible.
Like, what do you get for signing up, kind of thing. Bunch of that kind of stuff. You know, all the things, you know, we tried to be like, what would be funny if you were joining? The only thing that we really couldn't coordinate in time, and especially when you're trying to do stuff on preview night, was that when you came in, like at checkout, like you would actually get an ID card. Like we would have a laminated ID card station where you'd be like, oh, I've joined Cobra now.
That would have been amazing.
Well, we couldn't get that part organized.
Well, to be fair though, Brian, you did an amazing job. Like the whole team did an incredible job on setting that up. Because like I said, that was the one thing that just blew my mind when I saw it. Just so cool. I mean, what happens as well to all of the stuff that you've decorated that place with? Obviously that all has to come down, How quick after the show did it have to come down?
Well, I mean, that space is normally our store during the year.
Yeah.
So it takes about a week to put the store back together. We're still working on where all the crates go. They haven't come back yet. We're like, oh, one of the neighbors is like, these things need to get out of our store. We're like, all right, we'll get on that.
Amazing. It's low down the priority list, though, isn't it? Low down the priority list.
Well, like the big neon sign, it's like that should just come to the office, hang that up.
That needs to be in your office, doesn't it, Brian? Can you fit
I don't
else?
have an office.
Oh, the whole thing is your office, isn't it?
The whole thing is my office, exactly.
That's amazing. I mean, okay, so we've talked about merch. We've talked about we've mentioned Jason's beautiful painting, but just to kind of focus on that a little bit, was there a brief on that, or did you just say to Jason, "Go nuts, we want something elaborate, Cobra Commander"? Is that what it was, or was there
a little bit?
Idea
we wanted something a little bit ridiculous, like if you're coming to the Cobra Recruitment Center, there's always the picture of the glorious leader someplace. And we're like, we want that, but Cobra Command is always very tongue in cheek in that regard, like the glorious leader that's completely inept kind of thing. And so, we had a few notes, but a lot of it was also Jason just kind of going ridiculous. Like he has, one of the things in there is like crate that says extra capes, that part, that's all Jason. But, we bounced a bunch of stuff back and forth, just like, wouldn't it be goofy about this and goofy about this, and it needs to have the globe with the snake and stuff. But for the most part, then after that, you just let Jason do what Jason does.
Amazing. And it turned out sensationally. And I think when a lot of people saw that at first, I don't think they realized initially what they were seeing. Do you know what I mean? It was like, so I certainly didn't. When I first saw it, I'm like, is that like, that must be like an actual, they must have made that specifically for the actual store. And then to find out that you got Jason as well to do that, and he went through the whole process of how he made it and everything, just blown away. How big is it, by the way?
It's, I don't know. I mean, it's probably cool. 30 inches tall by 20.
I wasn't sure if it was like one of those ridiculous Victorian ones you see that are like 6-7 feet tall.
I mean, if he would have painted it, I would have been psyched. But no, it was not one of those. But yeah, that would have been awesome.
That's going somewhere in the area that is your office as the SUPER7 HQ.
I'm still negotiating the final price tag with Jason on that one. It's like there was the price to commission it, then there's the price to own it. Those are two different conversations.
Is that where he has more power in the conversation?
Yeah. Come on, Jason.
That's amazing.
Probably because I have all the other stuff, and he's just like, "Come on, do you need it all?" I'm like, yes, I do.
That's amazing. Well, I hope he does relinquish said piece into.
He's willing to relinquish it. I think it's the brass tacks of how much do I have to pay him.
Do you have to pay him like mass device money, or do you have to pay?
Exactly. I got to pay him in heavy water.
Exactly. Yeah, you've got to go get it though. That's the problem. Yeah. You've got to get the team together. Exactly. Exclusives. Now, obviously, you had so many amazing exclusives for the show. Starting off again with, I think, another one that was like not to say surprise necessarily, but I wasn't expecting it, and that was the snake eyes with the kind of torn sleeve, kind of very similar to the Target exclusive. I mean was
very similar is an understatement. It's identical, just has a torn sleeve.
I am being polite there, Brian, but no, at the same time, respectful, but at the same time, like it was, I mean, what was the decision making behind that? Was it just like one you could kind of do like,
well, when we were going to do the Target exclusive, because that's that big moment at the end of that comic where it rips the thing and you see the tattoo.
Yeah.
The original intent was when those went on the shelf at Target, there would be like, say out of every 4,
like a chase,
3 of them would be solid sleeve and 1 would be a rip sleeve. And we weren't going to say anything.
Oh my God, that's
we
amazing.
were just going to put it on shelf and let people find it. But in the overcomplication of the world,
I see.
Target was like, if we do that, I can't put it online.
Right.
Because if somebody orders it online and they get
Expect-
sent one that has the rip sleeve,
Right.
then it won't match and it's incorrect and they can return it for a refund. So there were these mechanic complications that got into the fact that we couldn't do that, even though it would have been super fun, especially if it took people like a month to figure out that there were two variations on it.
Absolutely.
Because that's what the fun of it is, right? If all of
Yeah.
a sudden a month later you were like, wait, what do you mean there's another one? Jesus Christ, I gotta go to the stall. This is killing me. That would have been great fun. So it got shelved there and we've been sitting on it. And I just, it's a cool, fun little thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be there for everyone. It
True.
doesn't need to go crazy. You don't have to have it to have the set complete. So I was like, this will be perfect for San Diego.
True, yeah.
A little moment. And if you're that guy that's like, I need that, then it's for you. And if you're not, it's okay.
Sure. I actually love that idea though, of dropping that one into like Target or something. Because funnily enough, it's one of the reasons I absolutely adore what you guys do is the fact that in we've had moments where we've done reports on a figure that's come out, and then the next day someone's found a figure in that wave that hasn't been announced or whatever, the Secret Service Snake Eyes figure that was kind of in there, and then all of a sudden, it's like everyone's finding it and like, what's this about? And then the whole internet goes wild. Red Ninja was another one of those.
Yep.
I've got another question for you when we get to wave 4, but obviously I'll hold on to that. But I think you know where I'm going.
I have no idea where you're going.
Okay, good. Then I'll just surprise you. Ambush.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's one of the reasons I love what you guys do. I love the company for that. And I love the fact that you have fun with those things that are like almost a staple of what we grew up with when we were kids and we were buying this stuff. Because we didn't have the internet. We had like, maybe at the best, we'd have a magazine that had some like listings of figures in it. Do you know what I mean? But we'd never have, or like what they called, like a product catalog or something. But there's no way.
Was it. You either had the little catalog that came with it or the card back.
Exactly.
This is all this is my checklist.
Exactly. So I love that you guys do that. And I actually want you to continue doing that no matter what anyone says, even Hasbro.
They haven't said anything.
I'm so happy that they're into what you guys are doing. It's brilliant. And they are. I mean, I spoke with Lenny and Emily not too long after SDCC, and they were full of praise for you guys. I'm not telling you something you don't already know. Really.
No. They're super fun. They're great people, and they're making really cool stuff. Obviously, Lenny is doing his thing with G.I. Joe, and it's great. And then we're over here, and I think that quite honestly, together it's even better.
Agreed.
And so I'm psyched on that.
I'm glad. Other than that wonderful little Target exclusive kind of tidbit of information you gave us, Glow Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was another one where I saw it and I thought, oh, that's so much fun for one thing. I love the actual fact that the Cobra team are all like blue glowing and the Joes are in the green glowing, just amazing. And I also love the fact that you've kind of, as a company, again, SUPER7, you've put your stamp on it with a new sub team.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, was that something that you guys wanted to do for a while? Is kind of create your own little?
I don't know that we really thought about it in the same in-depth way that the G.I. Joe, where it's like, oh, Python Patrol is a sub team, or that. We do a lot of variants and glows here and there and different stuff, and it's always cool to get a name that can sort of wrap the concept together, for lack of a better description.
Yeah.
So like I can make a whole bunch of figures that are like, oh, let's make a bunch of cool recolors and they'll be black with gray and red highlights. That's cool. But if I'm like, oh, it's midnight hour, you're like, oh, now I need all 3 midnight hour. Because now there's a context and a group and you start to build a story, right? And so with that, like, because like within Glow, traditional white / off-white yellow glow is what normally people get.
Yeah.
When we go back through all the years of making vinyl and everything else, we've done a gazillion weird variants with Glow. We spent a lot of time with Glow. We had pink vinyl that glowed green. we would do all sorts of weird stuff. You can get other colors. They're just much more expensive. The pigments get more expensive as the colors get weirder.
That's interesting.
But blue glow is sort of like the second, you have a regular sort of white, yellow / not really green, but white, yellowy green glow.
Yeah.
Then there's blue glow. And when we were talking about different things and like, what do we do at San Diego? I was like, Cobra is all blue and we've got blue glow. Like it kind of links up a little too easy. And then we sort of chose characters based on who had all blue outfits so that the blue glow stayed on brand.
Makes sense.
And then the flip side then we went to G.I. Joe and we're like, okay, well, we're not going to do blue, but we could do like a real green, not necessarily a yellow green, but like a true green glow.
Yeah.
And then Scarlett was a little tricky making her work right. We did 4 or 5 iteratives of how the paint works, because with glow people, if you make their skin tones glow and you paint their bodies normal, unless you're using sort of like white or yellow glow, they look really weird.
Right. They
don't look correct. So we're also having to reverse it. And the reality is when you make glow, I want to make as much of the figure glow as possible. So how do we make, an almost all glow figure with just other paint details to make it look right?
Yeah.
And so, once we kind of came on that thing, and then Glow Patrol as a name just rolled off the tongue really easily.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, it wasn't necessarily an intent from the beginning to have it feel like a G.I. Joe sub-team the way Python Patrol feels. But in the end, it was like, oh, this is a very G.I. Joe thing.
It is, yeah. It's definitely within theme of the brand and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I really, really dig that.
Well, and we started going backwards. We're like, has really nothing really ever been, there's a couple minute moments, but basically no one's touched glow in G.I. Joe. This seems like such a miss.
Well, you're the company to do it, Brian, aren't you? Definitely, in terms of glow in the dark. And I'm kind of looking forward to what you've got planned in the future as well. I'd love to see what other kind of fun things you've got cooking in terms of glow in the dark for Joe. What I would also say as well, I think it rolls off the tongue because it's also very similar to a very famous band that appeared in the early 2000s. Is it not?
I don't know.
Have you never heard of Snow Patrol by any chance?
Oh, Snow Patrol? Yeah.
Just saying. That's what I'm expecting next, by the way.
Snow Patrol figures?
Theme. Yeah, Snow
in
Patrol.
The G.I. Joe universe?
Exactly. And Midnight Hour as well. I'm expecting that next. Because
Midnight Hour.
I feel like that was like an accidental look into the future of
No, it's just the way the whole thing works over here. We're like, what would that would be cool. How do we justify it? We'll reverse engineer a reason for that to happen.
Reverse engineer reasoning. I like that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So amazing Glow Patrol figures, but probably one of my favorites of the reaction kind of related kind of exclusives was the Pyramid of Darkness set with the voice recognition robot with Snake Eyes and Shipwreck in their snakeling disguises, with Timber and Polly. I'm so happy about that. And of course the jetpack Cobra troops and everything. So of all of the scenes in all of the shows, why that one? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, by the way, because I just want to know why you went for that one in particular.
Why that one?
Technically 2 scenes, isn't it? Because it's the Cobra jetpack troops are when they're chasing them on the
exactly. They're in the mine, yeah, and they've got the jetpack. I'm like, same thing. I think obviously we're spending a lot of time in the early parts of G.I. Joe right now, in the the first couple miniseries and the original series. We're staying in there a lot. There's just a lot of moments in there for me that just have never been touched. And you go back and you watch them and you're like, oh man, there's all this stuff. And so as we started talking about all this stuff, like, you can talk about Mass Device, you can talk about Pyramid of Darkness. We were coming back to it and I'm like, same thing. You watch these shows and I'm watching that episode. I'm like, Snake Eyes and Shipwreck as snakelings have never been made.
Yeah.
This robot has never been made. And then I get down to a Cobra Trooper that's never been made.
With the jetpacks.
Yeah, with the parachute jetpacks on the back. And I'm like, all this stuff has never been done. And we might be able to do it as one-offs, but it just kind of had a whole story hung together really well. It's not a whole lot more complicated than that. True. I know that sounds overly simplistic, but I was just like, this whole episode has never been mined in that way. So we can tell a whole complete story. So in a box set, you want a whole story.
Yeah.
So I can give you a whole story. I can give you Snake Eyes and Shipwreck as snakelings all through the factory. I can give you the scene in the moment where you're like, how are they going to get past this voice recognition robot when, I mean, come on, it's Snake Eyes' head with a snakeling hat. It's not like, oh, why does that guy not have a face?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for me, I like troopers and army builders, as you may have already figured out, but it's like, here's yet another trooper that's never been seen before.
Yeah.
So it was a great way to tell a whole story and then really kind of amp it up on the packaging with the die cut and the embossing and everything that was on it. And just same thing, make it feel something special, make it when it pops up, it's not something that you have ever considered, you weren't expecting. I'll put it that way. Like when it showed up, you're like, I had guesses, and this wasn't on my list. It wasn't anywhere on my list.
I think for a while I've definitely expected you guys to do the snakeling stuff, and especially that was before you actually revealed the army builders, like in the previous wave, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I was kind of expecting that to kind of get done, but not in the way you did it. And then certainly not in the SDCC exclusive set in the way that was done. Brilliant. Are we ever going to see the mine cart at any point? Because I really want to see Timber.
on Timber on the
just giving it that. It's always,
and then you can double it for an Indiana Jones mine cart
exactly. Later. It always gets me whenever I see that scene, and he shouts Timber, take over, and Timber just jumps up and is straight on it as if like he's always done that kind of stuff. It's just brilliant, absolutely ridiculous, and I love it.
Yes.
So yeah, that set, fantastic, absolutely. Smashed it out of the park, in my opinion, on that one. Now, the other massive kind of exclusive you guys pulled out of the bag, which was the biggest shot for me because it was an Ultimates figure. Yes. And the fact that, all of a sudden you had this, what is effectively a wonderful homage of a bat from the comic.
Yep.
As an Ultimates figure, just mind blown. And again, looking at it, and just thinking, I can see them doing a repaint of, hang on, that's a different head, different forearms. It's got different accessories. Oh my goodness.
There's a whole lot of different in there.
Exactly. That's what blew my mind more than anything, was then seeing it and going like, hang on, that head is completely different, which is awesome.
Yeah, both the heads are different. Everything from the elbow down is different because they have a different elbow joint, different forearms. And then with hands in the comics, you either have smooth hands or you have these hands with these like circle rivets on there. So there had to be two different sculpted kinds of hands that go in with that. And then you have the spores on the backpack.
Canister,
and the canister. So
it was the rifles from the actual comic itself, that one panel where he's firing out the door, awesome.
G.I. Joe's taking us longer than we thought because I want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
And once you get like the first wave done, then all the in most cases it's hip engineering is done, then you can run. And we had to retool. We're retooling the insides of the hip, and that's why it's taking so long. But it was supposed to be ready for San Diego, and it would have been like, early July. You would have gotten your figures in the mail, and then you're looking at them, you're like, wow, these are rad. And then boom, San Diego. It's like, oh wow, and I even have another version.
Yeah.
Instead, that was not the case. So, we ended up having that one get here before the rest of the line, which is a bummer, but we'll all get sorted out in due time. I say that being as like any of the people here that are listening that buy our turtles and be like, oh yeah, the first wave did take a lot longer than I expected. Now every wave's like clockwork. on.
No, that must be frustrating, definitely for you.
Yeah. There's a host of issues that go with that, but we won't need to go into that now. We're going to keep it positive.
No, go into the negative. Come on.
You know, the Bat is such a fun character and such a cool character.
Oh, yeah.
We're like, how do we come back on Bat? I want to go someplace that's different, but at the same time, not make it overly essential. Like, oh, I missed the San Diego exclusive. I can't collect the line kind of thing. How do I come back on it, but also make it feel substantial enough that you're like, okay, that's worth my time and money. It's not a cash grab. These guys aren't trying to just milk me for a different colored lapel or, or whatever.
Right.
And so when we really started talking about, we're like the comic book Bats are just so radically different with the blue and the orange. And then when you really start, like we said, getting into it, the heads are different, the arms are different, the forearms are different, the elbows are different. They're not even consistent between hands. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's a whole different Bat at this point. It's like, yes, the chest and the legs are the same, but everything else across the board is different.
Yeah.
And it should be able to stand next to the regular Cobra Bat and feel uniquely its own item.
Oh, it certainly looks that way from shots from SDCC where you had, I think, Wave 1 out on display, didn't you? Kind of with them as well. So, and the two Bats were next to each other then, and I thought, wow, it's like it is genuinely like two. Well, it is, but it is genuinely from a purely distant visual, two completely different figures.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I mean, in not to harken back on what we were just saying, just like those other figures at San Diego, they're all samples from the factory. They're fine, but they're not
perfect
quite where I want them to be.
Right.
And I don't know, one way or the other. Maybe if I shipped them all out, 95% of the people that got them would be completely oblivious to the things that I want to change in them. I don't know, but I want them when you get them to be just like, holy, this is awesome.
I definitely understand that though, because I mean, even from the perspective of a small amount of people being unhappy with it, sometimes that can spread. Do you know what I mean? Like it can be like one of those things where someone will bring up an issue that maybe wasn't an issue prior to someone having it in hand. So I definitely understand from that perspective. Plus, it's your product and it's your baby, and you want it to be the best it can be.
Look, I'm getting to make G.I. Joe right now, and I'm not going to have somebody come back later and go like, "Yeah, you really fucked that one up." Like, oh, come on. Trying my best here, I promise.
Well, you won't get that from us or me, so don't worry about that.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. Not until they all get in hand, and I'm like, "What is this?" No, not at all. Not at all. I tell you what, though, I am a huge Flint fan. So, and I told you this last time, and I said, like, as soon as that figure, I'm just going to be very happy when that one drops. Oh my goodness! Look at his head. Perfect. See, nothing wrong with that, Brian, at all. Exactly as I would have expected that figure to look. That looks amazing. Is that a test shot?
Of course it's a test shot.
No, I just mean
I had to have something to show up on this thing here.
That's brilliant.
There's Flynn.
I love seeing the test shots. They're gorgeous. Cool. Baroness. Oh, the Baroness looks wicked. Amazing.
Separate glasses.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, of course. So then
I wasn't sure if she just had, that's awesome. I wasn't sure if she just had I couldn't remember if she just had spare heads and one didn't have glasses. So that's awesome. Oh, Destro looks dope. Destro looks good in that color. Destro looks very cool.
It's not that different from where he's going to end up, really,
I like
he's one step away from a discotheque, though.
Big time. Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? There you go.
Looks wonderful. That J. Oh, Lady J. She looks so good.
See if I can get
brilliant
likeness there. I'm sure somebody will already screen cap and tell me how wrong it is, but trust me, that is overhead lighting on a laptop camera. This likeness and this thing, it looks amazing.
Oh, don't worry. There's no way they can. Surely that looks great.
No, these figures, they're really, really solid.
Very excited. Very excited. Yeah, beautiful, mate. Absolutely beautiful.
Look at the size of this thing.
I'm going to tell everyone
that's
there
a cannon.
That is a cannon. My goodness, that's Destro's. Yeah. That is huge. Have you got his belt sander there with the gooey head?
Yeah, I'm sure I do. Hold on.
I've got to tell you, when I saw that, I knew immediately what it was, and I was like, yeah, that is why I love the Ultimates line.
Oh, the orbital sander. Here we go.
Unbelievable. Such a good part in the episode as well. Look at that. Look at that. Fantastic. And then he just randomly sorts his face out with it.
Yeah.
Done.
Polish up the face.
I love that lava was pink and didn't seem to be very hot either, despite,
just kind of sticky maybe.
Amazing. Well, great to have to see those. Thank you very much. Well, yeah, one of the things I wanted to actually continue on with the bat, I mentioned it a second ago, seeing the rifle and the containment unit with spores. One of the things I've always loved and will continue to enjoy doing is looking at all the loadout for all of these figures and just rushing off to try and work out where the hell they're from, like comics, cartoons. Sometimes I'll know immediately, and then sometimes I'll be like, where the hell does Flint use a shovel that long? And then I have to watch all the episodes to try and catch it, which I did in the end. I think it was Cobra Quake, that episode. But the fact that you guys drop these things in, you must be, are you like, are you randomly doing this? Are you just like grabbing random things, or is there a lot of knowledge behind it? Is there a lot of research going on?
There's a lot of people in here that really like G.I. Joe.
It's good.
And so, it's a lot of it, and I hate to keep saying the same thing. It's just like, what are the things that haven't been done in G.I. Joe? What are the places it hasn't been? Like, oh, here are the things that you would need in these other storylines. So let's bring out some of these other moments within G.I. Joe. It doesn't always have to be the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Am I saying that correctly?
No, totally. And I love. Well, I could see it being a lot easier in say like the Ultimate Bat comic version would be, where you can go, let's do the homage from the first appearance, and here are a couple of cool things that we can take from that first appearance. And that's that's great, and I understand that. It's when you've got a character that has got all these episodes behind it, and you're going, we'll take that from that episode, and that from that episode, and that from that episode. And I love that. That's what I love. Like I said, it's what I love more than anything else.
The scavenger hunt for you.
Exactly. That's what you should do. That you should have every time you release a new Ultimates wave, is have a little checklist down the right hand side. People can then go check off which episode or which comic is this from.
Who's going to be the first person to guess every accessory and where it's from? And then they
can email you guys or something, and get like all of the Ultimates for free, because I'll get it first.
I like how you're going straight to and then you'll send them all to me for free. Now I know the end game.
That's the end game. That's always the end game. That's the case. I'm just kidding. But I think that would be fun. To be honest, I just enjoy doing that. Whenever I see that loadout, I'm like, okay, I've got to work out what spear tip did Lady J use that particular one, and things like it's just awesome. Love it. Absolutely love it. Now, full disclosure, for some stupid reason, I thought we were having this interview last week. Yeah. And so I sent you all the questions ahead of time, thinking,
I like that you sent me all the questions ahead of time. I'm going to ask you about San Diego Comic-Con. I'm going to ask you about, and it's, I'm sure everybody else is like, oh, he gave him the lowdown. It's like the lowdown is, I'm going to ask you about reaction figures. I'm going to ask you about Ultimates. I'm going to ask you about San Diego Comic-Con. It's like, okay, that's the primer.
It's easy, isn't it? It's very vague, and it's a broad range.
Exactly.
That's how I get around it. But no, so obviously in this scenario, in the last week, wave 4 of reaction.
Wave 4,
which
reaction.
That was a big shock. And I was kind of thinking so soon after SDCC, I was thinking that's it. Well, then again, how long has it been now? It's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it? It's been a few weeks, probably about a month now.
Almost a month.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty impressive. Still, I wasn't expecting effectively 3 lots in this wave, because you've got 2 army builders in this one, camo green shirts, which I was amazed because I didn't even remember were in the cartoon, and it was pointed out to me on a live show that the camo green shirts were in 2 episodes off the top of their head. So well done, you guys, for doing that. And then also, yeah, because I was like, well, I just assumed you guys thought of maybe we could again put a Super7 spin on the green shirts, but no, you're actually homaging actual green shirts with camo on them. So again, big shout out on that one. And the female Cobra Troopers, which is dope as well. So that's something that I think we've had it in like the modern 4-inch line with Hasbro. But that's something that I think, you know, a lot of people have been waiting for, the female Cobra Trooper. Excited to finally get that out there.
Yeah, and that was definitely one where we were trying to, with the female Cobra Troopers, if you look at some of those fight scenes, there are like, okay, there are brunettes, there are blondes, there are redheads, there are short hair, there are long hair. Then you get into skin. It's like this can get too big too fast. So we tried to rein ourselves in a little bit, but there's a mix of short and long hair, mix of hair colors, but it's another one of those same things. It's like, I mean, yes, you've gotten a female trooper in the more modern 4-inch line, but you haven't really got like,
not the Sunbow one.
Well, not the Sunbow one, but also within that, it's like, if it's an army builder, there's a lot of different girls. And unlike a lot of other boys' toy lines, if you will, there are a lot of female characters in G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Baroness, Lady J, Scarlet, Raven.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on her name right now. The purple girl from Underwater.
Mara,
there we go.
Yeah.
You've got CoverGirl Blonde, you've got CoverGirl Brown.
Yes, we do.
There's a lot of female representation within G.I. Joe. And it's not limited to just the heroes. It's like we need to have the female soldiers out there as well. And the Cobra female soldiers do pop up with more regularity. So we were like, let's get them in here. Plus, I think a lot of people were like, it seems like a more overt thing where you're like, oh, I'm surprised that hasn't really been done more.
Yeah, totally. It took a long time for the modern 4-inch to really kind of break into that. But yeah, I definitely is one of those ones I was kind of expecting you guys to do at some point. And yeah, Wave 4, up 2 army builder groups in there is unbelievable. But you mentioned one there, which we might as well segue into, Blonde Cover Girl. Now that is one I will say I fully expected. Pat and myself, we do the weekly show together on the Full Force, and we've talked about it in the past, and we've said that if anyone's going to do Blonde Cover Girl, it's going to be Super7. And lo and behold, that's the first Cover Girl. Really excited for that one. First time she's really been done, I think, as well, actually.
Well, I mean, it's that same thing. If you're really thinking about us coming back from the beginning, of course, that is the first Cover Girl. That's where you're going to start.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So we get that one. We also get her with a weapon in that particular figure package. We say in her carded figure, she comes with the same rifle that Stalker and Duke have come with in the past. But I think someone was saying that rifle was in the foreign release of the Cover Girl figure, who was named, I've forgotten her name now. This is me being a bad fan. But was that
this is me probably not remembering why we went through all this, and probably, quite honestly, a year ago, we're like, oh, no, you could totally give her the weapon that you came with over there. I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool thing. And then I've forgotten it already.
Well, I think it's too much of a coincidence that she was given that when that other figure had it.
I believe that you are correct. But
that's awesome, by the way. It's a lovely little homage. But does that also maybe insinuate there's another character coming in a future wave? Because you have done that before. You've popped in a few rifles in the past that have like found their way into the original owner's hands in a wave later.
I can't speak to any of that, can I?
Leading the fifth, aren't you? No, you can't, and I totally understand that. I wasn't even trying to trip you up.
These are only a week old, and I'd like to hopefully get you to buy these so that I can move on to the next wave.
Let's focus on this wave, Chris. Also we get Snakeling without a hat, Snake Eyes. Would you say that is a better or worse disguise for Snake Eyes now without the hat?
Well, halfway through the show, remember, he takes the hat and throws it off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need this anymore. And
I'll
then,
keep the rest of it on, but I don't need this silly hat.
And then, quite honestly, because we work so far in advance, I'm trying to remember if the Snake Eyes on card, I think, comes with the disc.
Yeah.
Where in the box set it does not. So the box set version of Snake Eyes with the hat on his head, because we're getting really nerdy, does not come with the disc, because when he throws off the hat, he has the disc.
Yeah, nice. I like that you've made that. Is this the reverse engineering justification thing coming out again?
A little bit, yeah.
That's awesome, though. And also, I will say, I didn't really say it before enough, but I'm so glad you put Timber in the set finally. I think that was one that I think everyone was expecting, and it wasn't, and there'd be another Snake Eyes, still no Timber, and we'd be like, where's Timber? And funnily enough, I expected Satin's band's Timber instead. I just assumed you'd go there.
One of these days. Not today.
Exactly.
Because everyone's expecting that. That's why we're not going to go there.
I also must admit, I also love your detail to homage in the Cobra Commander with the pink cape and the serpent staff, and even like the different logo as well. Like, really good little kind of attentions to detail on that one. Were you guys at that point kind of going, we need like a Cobra Commander again, but like, how are we going to do it?
I don't want to say anything that anybody doesn't know, maybe. And I don't want it to sound crass. So I don't know how you say it without somebody at this end being like, well, that kind of sucks. But it's like, the reality is, if you collect G.I. Joe, even superficially or whatever, there's a couple characters that need to be on the shelf every time. I'm not doing it all the time, but it's like, look, Cobra Commander and Snake Eyes are the bedrock. People are always looking for another way in on those characters. You're going to see those characters pop up more frequently than others, simply because, it's sort of like if you collect Star Wars, like there's a Darth Vader in every wave. And you're like, do I need another Darth Vader? Like, you may not, but another guy does.
Totally.
Yeah.
And also, but also, I don't know, I see this particular one more than just Malibu Stacy with a new hat. This one is like, again, there's a lot of like a nice deep homage on this one that kind of makes it specifically for the mass device,
Yeah, I'm not trying to make it a very subtle repaint. It's like, it's a different character, it's a different moment, it's a different look. So if you really look at it, there's a lot of differences in that figure from the other one. Plus,
also, there are people that just collect one character too, and that's another thing that I didn't mention on the last time we spoke, but that's something that we didn't really discuss, is the fact that you could collect Super7 Cobra Commanders and have a really beautiful little display right now, where you've got a number of different Cobra Commanders in all sorts of different colors, and when you turn the lights out, one of the buggers is going to glow up as well. So exactly. That's amazing. And same with Snake Eyes. You could have one hell of a display of Snake Eyes figures, and yet again, in fact, two of them, two Cobra Commanders, and is it two Cobra Commanders? No, it's one Cobra Commander and two Snake Eyes that are going to glow in the dark for you. So yeah, I don't see it as an issue. It's always nice to get like a like an actual perspective from yourself regarding the choices and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to try to run it into the ground by any stretch of the imagination, but those two characters you do have to kind of circle back on a little bit more. And I'm trying to make them distinctly unique when we circle back to them, rather than just like, the hand is like this, now the hand is like this, and now the hand is like this.
It's Malibu Stacy with a different hand in that sense. In that line, we also get Classic Shipwreck and Polly. So you kind of get off the back of the SDCC set, you get in a regular Shipwreck and Polly, you get in Snake Eyes in a kind of like variant of the SDCC set. But then you've kind of almost created the scene almost in full with just that wave and that particular exclusive. So that's like another fun aspect. But Shipwreck, am I right in saying he comes with an actual rope?
Yeah, I think so.
So, because I thought when I first saw the renders, it looked like, I know you guys have to do a render of it. Obviously, you're not going to just.
I have to. God, see, now this is the thing. I live a year in the future. I'd have to go back and look, but I thought we did actual fabric to it, but then
Yeah,
somebody will
that's
be on
what.
here and go, no, it's molded, you idiot. And I'm gonna be like, oh, sorry, we ended up
No, I'm
mold.
pretty sure I
I,
saw a video the other
I
this
thought that
morning.
we went and had it be actual fabric.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's such a cool little addition because again, it makes it more, you know, more fun display wise and that kind of stuff, and you can do more with the rope. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was going to be like a molded piece with the anchor on the end of it. So that's
And
awesome.
we looked at both versions. I unfortunately right now am doing a poor job of marketing by going, I can't remember anymore.
Well, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm not sure how much you can go into it, so I can obviously this can be fully edited afterwards.
You can leave
Zartan.
that disclaimer in. I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going with Zartan.
Yeah, you're going with Zartan. Obviously, the original figure of Zartan color changed. We sampled it, both color changed and non-color changed. And the reality is it ended up being a non-color change figure. The proper, I'm sure the proper version I'm supposed to say is that was the intent all along. It's
Yeah.
not that it wasn't the intent. We looked at both. I think at a certain point we had said that it was, I can't remember if it was a cost reason or what it was, because we've done a couple other UV things.
Yeah.
That we were going to go animation style and keep him non-color change because the toy was color change centric.
Yeah.
I think the confusion really happens is that when our messaging, if you look at the messaging we put out in the world, there was messaging that said, here's Zartan. And there's other messaging that said Zartan also changes colors.
Yeah.
But if you look at the packaging doesn't mention anything about color change or anything. So along the way, we had made the decision that the color change was unique to the toy, and we were making Sunbow. And even though, whatever, there's a moment, we're going to go, okay, this is going to be like the rest of the line, and we're not going to do the color change within Zartan. And that's where it is on the card, and that's the decision. But our communication internally wasn't completely lined up. So when we went out with our messaging, half the messaging did not say it, and half the messaging was like, oh yeah, color changes, because it's the same thing. It's Zartan, color changes. It's sort of like McDonald's, they have fries. But no, Zartan does not have the color change feature. And I can understand why people would be disappointed by that.
Well, what I was going to ask was, is it a case of you've completely taken that off the table now, or is that something that could change in the future? Obviously, you can't talk on whether
it's not that. I don't want people to feel like I'm milking it, making them buy him twice. I think there's a time and a place for a color change Zartan. I think you could argue that we maybe made the wrong decision by choosing not to go color change, and that people would have preferred it the other way. At least that's the initial feedback I'm getting, which is like, it's Zartan. It's like McDonald's and fries. We just talked about this. Like, he's supposed to color change, and you guys took it away from me. So we can easily come back and talk about Zartan being color change. I just don't want it to be viewed as us taking advantage of our customers in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, that's totally cool. I'm not gonna say I'm not disappointed, because obviously when I saw like the product imagery and then the Reddit on the kind of website, I was thinking, wow, that's crazy that they've gone and done that. And then I think someone got the figure. Well, one person got the figure first. Said online that mine doesn't work. It doesn't change color. And we just thought, oh, maybe there's like a few that are wrong, or like there's an issue.
No, you're like, no, none of them are working.
None of them do. So yeah, there was a bit of disappointment. But at the end of the day, I was also kind of thinking, it just makes, to me, that sounds more like a deluxe thing. So like where you do like Glow Patrol, for example, that was an exclusive. When it was like the Arctic Rescue Mission box set with some like, with some glow in the dark aspects, that is like a deluxe set.
Well, and we just did the Lion-O that was color changed too. It's not that it's not a deluxe. I think it's that fine line between, is that inherent in his character, or is that inherent in the gimmick of the toy? And if you think about him in the show, it's very little about him as the color change guy. Masks and other things, sure, but
it's more just when sunlight hits him and he goes all vampire.
Yeah. So I think we just probably gauged a little bit. We probably overthought that one a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we need to be really cartoon. And everybody's like, that's all fine and great, but fries, McDonald's, Zartan color changes. You guys need to circle that up.
Well, one thing I'd like to obviously, like, because I'm this, it's it's not the most positive ending to talk about that.
But it's okay to talk about the fact that not everything's going to be perfect every single time, and we're going to try. But
one thing I did want to ask you, just like in terms of like the samples that you did, were you talking about things like painted aspects being color changed, or would it be like the plastic color changed and you'd have
the plastic?
Wow. Okay.
So it was a dye in plastic.
And that would have just been the parts that were exposed, I take it, or
parts that aren't painted. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I see. So the whole plastic would effectively color change, but you'd have painted certain. I see what you're saying. Okay, that's cool. That's kind of actually would have been my question.
What about my question? If you'd actually executed this figure the way you were supposed to,
it was done properly. No, I'm kidding. Not
it was,
but I will say that Zartan figure is gorgeous, and again, like was it Revenge of Cobra? I think he's like specifically that deco and how he appears in that cartoon. So yeah, that's awesome too. So yeah, don't get me wrong, mate. There's still amazing figures. The other one I wanted to talk about as well, which has kind of been saved to the end, is the bat. Because my goodness, that thing is packed with accessories. Is that the most accessories you've given a reaction single carded figure? I want to say it is.
Probably.
It's got like two. It's got like,
because usually they come with one, maybe two.
Yeah, and the occasional they'll have packed in a few, but the bat's got loads. He's got a backpack. He's got all the attachments, everything. Was that
the bat? He has to come with all that stuff, and then everybody's going to go, "Oh, you did it for Bat, but you didn't do it for Zartan." Take my fries and leave.
Yeah, the bat looks incredible. Absolutely love that thing. The chest piece, is that completely exposed, or is there is like the glass and kind of plastic perspex in front of it? I couldn't remember.
I think it's exposed. See, this is once again the bad me, which is like that was a year ago, dude.
Talk to me.
I think we ended that it's exposed. I think we ended that it's exposed because the plastic on top, while you get the sheen, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it doesn't show off nicely.
This is horrible that I can't remember. I'm living in San Diego 23 right now. Fall of 23.
You have how many brands you have to juggle? You have how many
products? It's not that. It's just that, it's like I'll see something and approve, like same thing. The stuff that's coming out at next San Diego, I'll be approving that probably December or January.
Yeah.
And then I won't see it again until I show up to San Diego, or I do a video 3 weeks before San Diego. Like, it's done and off my brain. I've forgotten about it. Like you're like, oh, G.I. Joe Wave 4 launched last week. I'm like, oh, it did? Like, I've been done with that forever.
I've just been getting messages about Zartan. I didn't realize.
Like, I'm working on Wave 7 right now. I don't know what y'all talking about.
That's good to know, though. That's great. Speaking of future waves, it also showed up on the back of cards that Ninja Coup was on the back of there, the Argentinian homage repainted Storm Shadow. That's awesome. I mean, are we talking error, or is this one of you? Is this the company doing that fun, like, this is where you find out about that kind of stuff?
You might find out about it now and then find it someplace else.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that's okay. I don't know how to take that, but I'm now expecting an ultimate.
There's other figures in that line, right?
Yeah.
And you have some other figures that go with that, right?
Yep.
And where did those figures show up?
I'm not going to say it because obviously then it'll be too much.
Then we'll spoil the party.
Yeah.
But if you stayed till an hour into this video, that's your reward.
They left ages ago, dude.
That's true. We're at like 3 viewers now, and one of them is my parents.
Well, the other ones are mine.
Yeah,
dude, it's absolutely been loving everything that's been coming out. Like the SDCC thing was insane. The recruitment center was awesome. You guys must be like really happy with how things are going right now. Are you in a good spot with it? You in a good place with everything?
Yeah, we're trying to have a lot of fun with it. I think we are having a lot of fun with it. I figured, for that diehard O-ring guy, I thought that if we do, there's some of those guys that will never collect what we do, and that's fine.
Yeah.
There's people that come from the reaction world already and classic action figures that are fine with what we do.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, I think that by the time we get 4 or 5 waves into this, and we've got enough really interesting characters in 3 3/4 that weren't done in O-ring, that I think we'll start to see some of those O-ring guys come over and be okay with having something on their shelf that isn't just O-ring.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to see that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not saying that they have to, but it's like, I'm hoping that those guys can see the fun that it is to collect this G.I. Joe as well.
Absolutely.
And that it's not trying to replace their O-ring collection and what that world of Joe looks like.
Yeah.
But that this can be another place that they can have just as much fun, and they can get really unique, characters from the G.I. Joe line over here and in this world that can live side by side, not intermesh next to, but side by side with their O-ring collection, and then they can relive the fun of buying G.I. Joe again.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't, swivel forearms and everything else like that.
Well, you say that as well, but I think there's a lot of people that buy a lot of your product and use it with their current collections of figures.
And there's definitely some of those people, but the initial sort of, I will never buy anything that's not O-ring. I think we're starting to see a little bit of softening there because it's fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're finding it as fun rather than an insult to the history of G.I. Joe.
Well, if anything, it's highlighting more of the history of it as well. That's another thing, it's showing certain aspects of its, very broad history from the cartoon and the comics that just haven't been seen in toy form. And that's brilliant. So yeah, absolutely, man. Really, really, really cool stuff. And again, thank you so much for jumping on and chatting with me. Like, I super appreciate it. It's not like, you don't have to do this. So
no. I'm happy. I'm happy to talk about toys anytime. That means I'm not working right now. It's great.
Yeah, but you could have to, approve something for wave 53. So
I would love to be approving wave 53. That would be awesome. If we're approving wave 53, we have all done our job properly.
I hope you could, if I'm still interviewing you at wave 53, I hope that you've increased the amount of waves that are coming out per year. Otherwise, we're going to be like 100 years old at that point, are we not?
We'll be 100 years old, but it might be a little ways down the road.
I would be. No, that's amazing, man. Thank you so much for jumping on. And I'm like I said, loving what you guys are doing. The reaction line is still just buzzing and having loads of fun with that. The Ultimates, cannot wait to see. Again, that first wave, cannot wait to see the first wave. And then obviously
I can't wait to get them into people's hands.
I bet you can't.
No, when people get this, I think people are gonna lose their minds.
Totally. She looks great in that blue costume as well. So it's not even like, you haven't even gone for the standard. You've gone like
you haven't even gone with the black or the navy.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. It's not like I have to say where can people find you, because I think people can find you on the Super7
You can find me
website.
at super7.com and at Brian Flynn on Instagram, which I post about once a month.
Brilliant stuff. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And again, I always offer this, but and you've actually come back, so I would very much appreciate you to do this again with us. And
anytime, you tell me.
Thank you so much. Tomorrow? No, probably
not. Maybe not that quickly.
It's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much. At the end of all these episodes, we do tend to still have to do one more thing, and I hope you're on board for that. So here we go. That's it for this installment of the Full Force Redacted. Thank you to my wonderful guest, Brian Flynn. See you next time. And as always, after 3, full force. 1, 2, 3.
Full force.
Force.
Am I supposed to go full force? reverse and do that.
That's better. That
There
works.
you go. I'll do it like that.
Access granted.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force!
Access granted.